Do you constantly find yourself dating emotionally unavailable men? Isn't it frustrating how time and time again you fully invest yourself into a man only to have him tell you down the road that he's no longer ready for a serious relationship? Well, today is the last day you ever have to deal with that again. Because on today's show, we're going to be discussing how to avoid emotionally unavailable men. That way you can avoid being in a confusing situation with a man who is only going to waste more of your valuable time. Number one is to date with a purpose. This is helping you look out for yourself and not fall into the trap of being in a relationship with the guy and realizing down the road that this isn't the relationship you're looking for. I know that it's very easy and comfortable for you to just turn your brain off, not worry too much about where things are going or what they're going to be, and just sit back, relax, and allow him to take you on whatever ride he wants to take you on. Here's the problem though. Some guys are going to take you on a ride in circles, and you're just going to be a passenger princess driving around in circles with no destination in sight. And then at some point, he's going to run out of gas. He's going to get out of the car and he's going to say, "Great, that was awesome. We spent years driving around in circles. Now I'm going to go do something else somewhere else." And you're like, "Wait, what? I thought we were doing a thing where we're together forever and I'm your passenger princess and I ride or die for you for the rest of life." And he's like, "No, we were actually just doing a thing where we drive around in circles, we laugh, we giggle, we have a little bit of fun together. But then after a while, I get bored of driving around in circles and I move forward with the rest of my life." We don't want that for you. So when you're dating guys, you need to be knowing that you're dating them with a purpose. That means you have to take things seriously from the very beginning. You can't start dating men and saying to yourself, "Well, I'm here just to have fun." Because when you say that to yourself, you're going to go about the relationship as if you're here just to have fun. And when you're doing all these things that only serve fun and don't serve your future, you're going to be frustrated down the line because you're going to be thinking to yourself, now that I want to transition fun into actually being a future, it's very hard to translate that because all of the things we were doing before might have been conducive to fun, which just means worked for fun, but they don't work for having a serious long-term relationship. So let's say you are dating around and stuff like that. You get out of a relationship and now you're looking to meet new guys, but you don't want things to be super serious at the very beginning because you just got out of something. First of all, you're the one that's emotionally unavailable, but let's put that on the side. Let's say you start seeing a guy and as you're seeing him, you're like, "You know what? I just want to enjoy myself. I don't want things to be too serious. I just want to have fun with this guy." So you're not dating with purpose either. So what are some of the fun things you could do with guys at the very beginning? Well, of course you can go out on dates. You can kind of be friends casually, see each other whenever. You can text like a textaholic, right? Because who cares about the future? Who cares about making sure you're getting dates? Who cares about consistency? Just text when it's fun. FaceTime when it's fun. When you guys hang out, you go to the club, you go back home together after the club when you're drunk because it's fun, right? Everything's about fun. And then after a while of having months and months of fun, what you're going to end up saying is, "Great, this is so fun. Let's go ahead and transition this fun to not just a part-time thing, but let's make this our full-time jobs where we have fun with each other all the time and we take this relationship seriously." And then he's looking around like, "Hold up, girly. 1 second here. I thought you said let's take this thing to the next level and take it seriously." And you're like, "Oh yeah, of course. Isn't that what you want? I'm having fun. You're having fun. We have fun together. I think it's time for us to not just have fun, but to be fun and serious and look forward to the future." And he's going to say, no, actually, this was just supposed to be fun forever until I don't want to have fun anymore." And then what you realize is that when you try to transition it into something serious, he now says, "Well, I got this going on, and I'll be honest with you, I've got my ex and she's still on my mind and I'm still in love with her. And, I didn't think that things were going to go this far." And all of these excuses arise out of nowhere. And you're like, "Wait a second. I thought when we were having fun, it was all good and you didn't have any issues and nothing was wrong. How come now that I want to build a future and I want things to transition into more than just fun, all of a sudden you have these issues and now you're emotionally unavailable?" What the truth is that he was always emotionally unavailable. You just didn't realize that because rather than dating with purpose from the very beginning, You are dating for fun. I want you to know anytime you're dating for fun, fun is your enemy as a woman. Why? Because fun is unserious, fun is unstructured, fun is unscheduled, and fun is inconsistent. All of the things that you don't want and don't need from a man or in a relationship in general. Do not seek out fun in your relationships, especially at the very beginning. It only serves to hurt you and hurt your chances of building something serious with that guy. Don't allow men to just have fun with you. Do not try to be the fun girl or the yes girl that says yes to everything. Then when you want to do something more than fun, they'll say, Missy, you are giving it to me for free, no takebacks. So when you're going into your relationships, if you truly want to avoid emotionally unavailable men, you have to take things hyper seriously from the very beginning. Don't allow your mind to fall into the trap of, oh, this is just fun, or I just want to relax and I just want to chill. I don't want to put too much pressure on our relationship, okay? Because those are all the type of tricks that your mind is going to play on you to try to convince you that fun is the best way to go. If you're trying to be easygoing and you're trying to be a fun girl, guys are just going to play around with you. Or from the very first time a guy acknowledges to you that he wants to spend more time with you and get to know you, you take it deathly seriously. I mean, when you get on this date, you're thinking about, okay, what boundaries am I setting right now that I want to last for the rest of the relationship? How do I want to present myself right now that I want him to still see me that way a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now? Number 2, you must have extensive, detailed X talk. I know you don't like that. I know that makes you nervous. Going into a relationship or a talking stage with a guy and you start talking about the exes. However, this will reveal so much to you that is important information that you must know. You cannot okay a relationship unless you have extensive knowledge of his most recent relationship, why it ended, what transpired in it, and where it stands now. That is the most important part. What do you guys like together? Do you see her? You'd realize that for one reason or another, he's still talking to her. Oh, me and my ex, we share a dog. And these are the type of things that you need to know and you need to have questions about. It's not just asking one question on the first date. Oh, so how are you and your ex? Oh, yeah, we broke up. Yeah, of course, it's your ex. And then you just leave it forever. This is something you question extensively for months and months and months. One time here, and then 3 weeks later, you ask the same question in a different way and you see if you get the same answer, and you absorb all of this information about that ex and you see if things are making sense, have logic to them, or if he's telling you a lot of stories that don't make a lot of sense. People might be good liars, okay? You might even come across some guys that are great liars. But the thing about it is, the more someone talks about a situation, the easier it is to slip up in your lies. It's easy to have a cookie cutter prepared template answer for a couple of basic questions about your ex. It's a lot harder to have a lie prepared for every single nuanced question that someone could ask over the course of months to you about an ex-partner. Every time you ask a new question about that last relationship or about that ex, that's another opportunity for him to slip up and accidentally tell you the truth if he was trying to hide something from you. I want you to constantly go about your relationships with guys from a curious mind frame where I'm always going to be curious to understand and know more about the relationship you had with someone else that was good and then ended. This information isn't meant to hurt you or meant to degrade you. This information is meant to help you down the line ensure that you're not investing all of your valuable time and energy into someone that's actively still emotionally invested in someone else. It's not an invasion of privacy to ask someone that you're romantic with about their past experiences since they've met you. I mean, you're meeting a whole adult human being who has had a life and existed on this earth since before you met them. So it's not an invasion of privacy to say, hey, I'm going to commit my life to you, possibly. I would love to know more about you since you showed up in my life today. That's how majority of you actually end up getting played. by sitting around thinking, oh, well, I only want to worry about our relationship as it exists right now. And I don't want to think about anything you've done or anything you've experienced before me because I don't want to imagine you being with someone else before me. That is a very childish, immature way of thinking, and you'll get played like a child. I'm talking about what was your experience with someone you said at one point you loved. You said at one point you were going to be committed to. So the same way you're here with me saying you want to commit your life to me and you want us to be together forever, that's great. But at one point you were saying that to someone else. That's not a crime, but let's unpack why that was at one point someone you wanted to commit your life to and what transpired to turn it into someone that you no longer want to be with. It doesn't mean you have to tell him, hey, you're wrong for that or you're a horrible person for that, but understanding him and understanding what transpired in his relationship will give you so much context as to who the person is that's actually sitting in front of you. When guys start giving you real information about them, how they think, what they want, what they desire, who they've been, because you're meeting the real person. You're not meeting your imagination of them. And instead of you being allowed to fill in the gaps of their personality with your imagination or your Prince Charming from a Disney princess movie, you actually are getting to know the real him. So when he's telling you all these real experiences and you're like, oh, that's kind of toxic, or oh, that's kind of not what I'm looking for, or, oh, that kind of sounds gross, I don't know if I want a guy like that in my life, you're actually doing yourself a solid by helping him give you information and admit to you the ways that he might not be the guy that you want. Number 3, I want you having no fake friendships. Fake friendships are real fun at the beginning. What I'm referring to is the friendship that you develop with someone that you actually want to be romantic with, but because neither you or him don't want to address the fact that you want to be romantic with each other and you just want to hang out with each other and not think too hard about where it's going, instead, you build what we call a fake friendship and pretend that you guys are just friends instead of having to acknowledge that you guys actually like each other and want to be romantic with each other. Fake friendships will always make it easy for you to fall into the trap of not setting boundaries and expectations, but then all of a sudden now you're doing a whole lot of girlfriend and boyfriend things, but you're not boyfriend and girlfriend. And there isn't the boundaries of a boyfriend and a girlfriend. But when you're together, it's just like being with a boyfriend or girlfriend, but you're still friends. What you really are is confused. But you know where that confusion leads is that down the road, when you say, okay, we've been doing this kind of fake friendship thing for a long time, Can you give me a little bit more clarity as to what we are and what we're doing here? Are we dating? Are we girlfriend and boyfriend? He's going to say, I got so much going on and I don't have a lot of money right now and I've got a business and what we got going on. And then you're sitting there like, wait, what? The other girl, what is going on? And you're like, no, so we were friends. Like I was dating kind of another girl and we just have this complicated situation and I'm trying to figure it out and understand it. And you're sitting here thinking, oh my God, I've invested all this time in a friendship that I really didn't consider a friendship. I just didn't want to categorize it and I just waiting around for him to commit to me. All this time I wasted on a guy being friends with him when I know deep down I actually liked him and we were sleeping together, so that's not friends. And now I'm realizing that this entire time he's been going back and forth with another girl while simultaneously being friends with me. Under the umbrella of friendship, see, guys are allowed to see other people. Guys are allowed to spend time with their exes. Guys are allowed to date other people, go on dates with other women, and even sleep with other women. Why? Because you guys are just friends. The problem with that is you're not only actually friends. You're friends who sleep together, you're making out with him, you're tongue kissing him. That's not very friend-like. However, you're categorizing yourselves as friends because it's easier and it doesn't make you stress yourself out saying, oh, well, I should be thinking about what's going to happen in the future. And then when you finally put your foot down and say, wait, we can't do this friend thing forever, what's it actually going to be? He says, well, I don't have a plan for us aside from being friends because I have a situation that I'm trying to figure out with someone else. Who loses? you lose. Don't waste your time thinking about how to have more fun with men, because that's only gonna serve the men. You need to be thinking about the future. So your F, right, is not for fun. Your F is for future, because that's what you're worried about. You're worried about consistency. You're worried about commitment. You're not worried about having fun with guys who just want to have fun. Because the reality of it is, the guys who just want to have fun, they'll drive you around in the smart car in circles forever, only making it easier for yourself to attract emotionally unavailable men into your life who don't want to define things because they know their mind and their emotional bandwidth is all being spent on some other girls. I told you earlier, a lot of these things that we talk about, right? Dating with purpose and even not having fake friendships. I'm saying that because when you do a lot of these things, you make it so much easier for emotionally unavailable men to be attracted to you, because you're like the breeding ground. You're the perfect environment. You're the perfect type of soil for an emotional unavailable man to plant himself inside. An emotional unavailable man is not going to have very much success planting himself inside of a woman who's secure, who knows what she wants and is dating with purpose and is not interested in fake friendships. Of course, that is difficult to understand when to cut things off. And of course, you want to give people a fair shot to show you that they're actually serious. Now, you have to understand, when it's actually happening, you'll know that it's happening. You won't have to like pull teeth to get a guy to like just want to see you or do something as simple as like take you out on a date or figure out a day to see you. But you also won't have constantly be fighting him off whenever you try to set a boundary or whenever you try to be like, look, I'm not ready to like sleep with you yet, but I definitely do want to get to know you more. There are guys that are capable of being intentional when they really want to be intentional. And yes, of course, you want to give guys a chance to show you that they really mean business. But at a certain point, it becomes a limit to it where if they can't show you anything in a period of time, then at some point you just have to move forward with your life. You can't continue waiting for guys. Number 4, I want you to start dating one man at a time. Before you log off and say, Thompson, I don't want to hear any of this. This is stupid information. This is dumb information. I want to date 35 men at once. Here's the thing. When you're dating multiple men, you're going to have very little emotional bandwidth left over for each individual man. Every time you add another man to the pile, you're basically splitting your emotional bandwidth into more and more people. You only have a 100% of your emotional bandwidth. When I say emotional bandwidth, what I'm essentially talking about is like your time, energy, and focus. It becomes really hard to absorb each individual you're dating the more people you add to that pie. It becomes hard to even absorb the information you're receiving from each individual person. You might laugh and have a great time with person number 1, and you might have a great time with person number 5. But by the time you get to person, you're thinking back to all your conversations with each person, you're like, wait, so was that shared interest with person number 3? Or was that shared interest with person number 11? And you can't properly absorb information. And you get really confused really easily on who was showing me what I actually want and who was not. When you're dating one man at a time, you're very much less susceptible to dealing with BS that guys will try to present to you when they are emotionally unavailable, but they just don't want you to realize that. You're actually paying attention to everything he's saying to you. Even if you're on the date with him and he's saying BS to you and you don't realize it in the moment, because he's the only person you're dating, you go back home from the date and you think to yourself, wait a second, he was talking about I just kind of only see my ex sometimes because we're friends in a friend group. But then he said that he hangs out with that friend group like damn near 3 times a week. Wait a second. He's still seeing his ex 3 times. Why am I even dating a guy who's seeing his ex? These are the type of things that when you have the emotional bandwidth, you actually have the space to think to yourself, wait, does what he just said even make sense? That's not even logical. I was on the date and I just said, yeah, because I was on the date. But now that I'm actually thinking about it, that was the stupidest thing anyone could ever say. And I need to address that or I need to be following up on that, because it requires my full attention to really understand and dig deeper there. See, when you're dating multiple people at once, it becomes harder to think back to what each individual person said, and you also are way more susceptible to missing things. When I date 3 guys at once, once. I go back home and I might be thinking about what guy number 3 said today. And the moment I start thinking about my date with guy number 3, it might remind me of something that guy number 1 said to me. And then my mind goes to guy number 1 and I'm thinking about that day. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did like guy number 1 and what he said. And he was like really nice. He's got nice teeth. Oh, but I remember guy number 2, his teeth were even nicer. And I remember when we were laughing with each other and we went back to drink wine. That was so, and you see how your mind hops and skips to this one and that one and this one and that one. And now all of a sudden, you can't possibly absorb the information of what one particular guy was telling you. See, when you're distracted by having a roster of multiple men, emotionally unavailable men can slither their way into your life because it's easier to go undetected when you're dating multiple men at once. If you're so emotionally spread thin that you're not able to properly analyze everything that he's saying and take in information, because then he can slither his way into your life and he can say, oh, you probably won't realize that what I'm saying makes no sense. You probably won't think to be asking me this question about my past relationship or my ex or what's going on with me. And you'll just be thinking about having a good time with me and getting some attention from me because tomorrow you're going to go on date number 2 with guy number 4 and you're going to get some attention from him. And your mind's only focused on getting attention and not really extracting information. So what can I do? I can slither my way inside of you, get my enjoyment from you. Meanwhile, you're so focused on dating 95 men at once, you don't realize I'm not even the guy you're looking for. I'm playing you too. You're happy with your roster. You don't realize what I'm actually doing here. You need to understand that you date people and men until they show themselves to not be what you're looking for. Figure out who the person is in front of you. If you don't like them, cut them off and then move forward with your life. Number 5, patterns of behavior. When a guy is emotionally unavailable, you'll start to notice a lot of inconsistencies in the way that he approaches or treats you based on someone who is supposed to be ready for a full-time serious relationship. Let's actually refer to a situation we had yesterday in the Discord. So a girl was going to go on this church date with a guy, and she invited this guy to church, and they went on a date before, and it was good on the date, and things were fun and interesting and all that good stuff. When it gets to the day leading up, a couple days leading up to church, he doesn't really message her, he doesn't really reach out, and she's thinking to herself, but I thought we planned to see each other at church and we were gonna have a little church date and things like that. And he never messaged. Then she messaged about a day before and said, hey, I feel like we haven't properly planned this church date. Maybe we're just gonna have to cancel because like this is very, very last minute. And he says, all right, cool, yeah, whatever. And she's like, wait, what? That's it? So you're not gonna message me leading up to the plan that we had, and now that we have the plan, you're just not gonna say anything? You're just gonna be like, whatever? That doesn't seem like someone who is actually ready to build a long-term serious relationship. Because remember, when you're dating someone, you're always analyzing their habits and the way they go about stuff, and you're using that as information to determine who they are. Start taking notice of the patterns of behavior that are in line with someone who is trying to build a long-term serious relationship. When someone is trying to build a long-term serious relationship with you, there's nothing wrong if they become busy, but they're gonna make you aware of the fact that they're busy. There's nothing wrong if they don't text you for a couple of hours, maybe they got stuff to do. But when people are disappearing on you for a couple of days, that's a clear sign they might have something else going on. I want you to think to yourself, the moment you start identifying qualities or character traits or patterns of behavior that aren't in line with the logical human being who would say, I want to build something with you and be in a serious relationship with you, you need to start identifying that pattern of behavior is actually more in line with someone who's emotionally unavailable than someone who's emotionally available. Because someone who's emotionally unavailable might come and be like, oh, I love you so much and I want to be with you and I want to spend all this time with you for a couple of days, and then a couple of days they go ghost. Or they come and see you and everything is so good and amazing when they come and see you, and then when they're gone from you, you just never hear from them. So take notice of that when you're dating people. Take notice as well of the guy you're dating's emotional bandwidth. If he doesn't seem to have a lot of emotional bandwidth left over for you in order to invest in you and care about you and care about how this relationship is going, that's a sign he's emotionally invested in someone else. Let's say you're dating a guy. Let's say he flops on a date and he really genuinely didn't mean to flop. It just skipped his mind because he had an emergency to deal with or whatever it may be. He's going to message you and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I messed up our date that we had planned, and I feel so badly about it. I want to make it up to you. I apologize for flopping on you. I know I had an emergency and this was going on, and I assure you, I want this and I want to take this serious and I want us to work. Please let me make it up to you. I want to take you out for a nice dinner this week. There's a way someone will approach it when they actually care and they have that emotional investment in you. But when someone doesn't care, this is what they'll do when they make a mistake and they flop on the date. Oh, yeah, my bad. I didn't message you. Yeah, my fault. I was busy. And he'll say that 3 days later when you message him and say, hey, how come you didn't show up to our date 3 days ago? No sort of care, no sort of remorse, no sort of empathy. You know why that is? When guys are showing a sense of coldness, seem to have a lack of empathy with you, that stems from the fact usually that his emotional investment is in another woman, which that's the woman he cares about. That's the relationship and the grass he's trying to water. Guys want to make sure you're good and make sure the relationship is good when they care. When they don't care or they're caring about someone else instead of you, they're going to be kind of hands off. They're going to be very aloof, and it's not really going to bother them if you're upset. So take notice of those patterns to say to yourself, oh, yeah, before I even get started building here with you, I'm already seeing the patterns and the signs. These patterns of behavior will be in conjunction, in combination with all the other stuff that we talked about and all the other information that you gather. So by the time you start seeing this on an ongoing basis, ding, 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 your alarm bell should be going off and you say to yourself, yeah, you know what? You're not who I'm looking for.